What's up, guys? Welcome back to LoverCast episode 6. This is the first one I've ever done using a webcam, so those of you watching it on my LoverCast YouTube channel, let me know what you think, if this makes it easier to listen to, or if you have no preference. Today's topic is over something that I want to say is more trendy, something that a lot of people are discovering as of the past few years, something that a lot of people never even knew existed, and this is something that could quite literally change your entire life. Of all the podcasts that I've made, this is a topic I've discussed before, but it's also a topic that if you haven't heard or you haven't heard anything about, you know nothing about this topic, which is growth versus fixed mindset, then this literally will change your entire paradigm of what you see life as. This will change how successful you think you can become. This is going to change everything from your relationships to the success you have in everything from school to your job to your fitness to everything. So let's talk about it. Fixed versus growth mindset. Before we get into it, let me tell you a little story about myself. When I was a kid growing up, I always wanted to be amazing. You know, I always wanted to be like a star sports player or the smartest kid in class. I always wanted to, but I never thought I could, you know? I studied hard, I practiced a lot, but I was never the best in anything, really. I was always kind of good. You know, I was always up there. I got a lot of A's. I got, honor roll, distinguished honor roll. I got all these awards and stuff, but I was never the best. There were other kids that were the best. And I said, that's okay. I'm just not that good. You know, these kids are obviously just born smarter than me. I know one kid named McCoy. Dude is a genius. His brother is also a genius. These guys go to the best schools. They get the best grades. Like, all throughout school, I was like, how are these kids smarter? They're always getting better grades. It was just like, it bothered me. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. And I couldn't figure it out. And I just finally accepted, you know what, that's just how it is. They're just born better. All these other people you go to school with, they're born better. People that are smarter with. And that's what you call a fixed mindset. So I'm going to read off of this little note thing I took here and explain what that means. So a fixed mindset is kind of how you approach things in life. It's where you think your intelligence is completely static. You don't believe there's any way you can get smarter. You're born how you are and you're fixed that way. So I'm going to just read this straight from the paper here I have. And it says, in terms of challenges, if you're a fixed mindset, you avoid them. You don't want to face a challenge because you know if you do bad, it's going to just reflect on how stupid you are. So if I avoid challenges growing up, well, then I won't see how stupid I naturally am. And so I'll be able to live in ignorance and believe that I'm smarter than I am. So a fixed mindset, you're the type of person that avoids challenges. Obstacles. If you face a challenge, you're going to give up really quickly. You're going to be like, this is hard, I'm done. And you give up because then you avoid putting in the effort. And by avoiding that effort, you're avoiding really pushing yourself and then ultimately avoiding seeing how smart you are. Because if you put in effort and fail, then if you have a fixed mindset, you believe you're just too stupid and it just makes you feel horrible. In terms of effort, you see yourself as fruitless or worse than everyone around you. So you lift weights. You see people stronger than you. You don't consider the fact that maybe they lift for 6 weeks, maybe 6 months, maybe 6 years. You just see that they're stronger and you say they're born stronger. I can't compete with that. In terms of criticism, you ignore people, you ignore feedback, you say it doesn't matter, I'm how I am, I can't change anything. And finally, in terms of others getting successful, you feel threatened because you're like, why are they successful? Why am I not? This is how I was growing up my whole life because I was always told as a kid that I was smart. All right. And this right here is the biggest issue because so many parents tell their kids when they're growing up that they're smart. I was smart. I got great grades. I was like advanced in reading and advanced in writing and all this stuff. I was in honors classes, AP classes. I was smart. But that's not what you should tell kids. You should tell them you're good at working hard. Because when you tell your kids that they're smart, you're teaching those kids that they don't have to put in effort. If you tell your kid that hard work gets you to where you want to be, then you're teaching your kid that you will face challenges. Maybe when you hit college, maybe high school, maybe middle school, you're no longer going to be able to breeze by. You will have to put in effort. But if you say they're smart, once they fail, once they get that first B, then they realize, wow, I guess I'm not that smart because everyone else is getting A's. So you think all you have to do is be smart. But everyone else around you, or maybe not, it depends on really how your parents are teaching you. Everyone else around you realizes it takes hard work. So you don't see the hours and hours they pour into it, or you don't see how they were raised or how they were taught things. So the fixed mindset is really, really, really dangerous. And a lot of people grew up with it, and myself included. I was like this for years of my life. I remember looking back at some of my relationships with Lauren one. We were together, and I had a lot of issues. I mean, I think a lot of us did going through, kind of growing up in the teenage years. And I thought, this is just how I am. This is just how I'll be forever. I'll never be able to change. And I really couldn't because I believed that it was impossible. I believed I had social anxiety and that was how it would be the rest of my life. I believed that I had all these issues and they would never be solvable. But then I started realizing through my reading that it is possible to solve, and I started studying and I started applying it to my life, and then I started seeing results and seeing how big it could help you. And so it's really difficult because you literally, if you were raised being told you're a smart kid, it's one of the most damaging things that your parents could have done to you. And they didn't realize it. They thought they were helping. But truthfully, they were hurting you more than you could ever know. Because now you're afraid to put in effort. You are stuck in a fixed mindset. You believe you're as smart as you are and you can't get smarter. And that's a huge, huge, huge problem. So that's not real, all right? The fixed mindset, that's not how it is, all right? You're not limited at your intelligence. You're not limited at how good you are at something. The Talent Code is a book I've read that talks about how people get talent, and it's through hard work. And so the first thing to get into a growth mindset is to realize that you're not stuck where you are. You're not stuck at this limited level of intelligence. There's no ceiling, all right? It's hard work. So be a hard worker. Don't be a smart worker. Like work hard and smart, like put them together, but don't just accept that you're smart and only put in whatever effort, like, the minimum. Don't do that. Put in hard work. So I'm going to read again here off of the growth mindset notes I took. So in terms of challenges, remember from a fixed mindset, we said you're avoiding them. With a growth mindset, you're embracing them because the challenges make you stronger. So with the growth mindset, when you see something hard, you go out there and you accept it. You're stepping up. Your teacher wants to volunteer. You're the one volunteering. It's going to be weird, but it's a challenge. You want to be in difficult situations because that's how you grow. Imagine if you're really obese and your doctor tells you have diabetes. That's really going to convince you to start taking life more seriously and start eating healthier and working out, isn't it? If your friend says, hey, you're kind of fat, you're going to say, shut up, dude. You're going to ignore him. But when you face a challenge, something like a doctor telling you have a life-threatening disease potentially, or you do, that's going to help you embrace that. It's going to help you move forward and help make these big changes. So pain, the challenges, lean into them. That's a growth mindset. In terms of obstacles, you realize with the growth mindset that nothing is impossible. And truly, I mean that. Like, you're facing a challenge, you realize that in this day and age, with the amount of technology that we have, the way that we can communicate with anyone across the entire planet, you can really become and learn and do anything. So when someone comes up to you and says, hey, I've got this big issue at work, or I've got this big issue in my personal life, I don't know what to do, I'm stuck, there is always a solution. So with the growth mindset, you realize you may not have that solution now, but with hard work, with effort, with research, you will find a solution. That's something that's huge for me because I never get a challenge and say I can't do this ever. I always get a challenge and I say I will find a way to get through this, right? So that's definitely different. When I was growing up, if I faced a challenge, I just quit. I said, I can't do this. It's just too hard. If I didn't know how to do it naturally, I was smart, So I just said, all right, I can't do this. I'm not smart enough. I didn't realize it took hard work. In terms of effort, if you have a growth mindset, you see effort as the necessary path forward. You realize that the only way to become successful is through effort. The only way. There is no alternative. There's no but. There's no exclusion. The only way to be successful in anything that you want is through effort. I don't care what you're into. You have to put in the effort. You have to put in the time. You can't rely on being smart. You can't rely on how you were. You just can't. You have to put in the effort. You have to struggle. You have to push through it. You have to learn. And that is how you become successful. You really embrace criticism. If you have a growth mindset, when people tell you something's wrong, you embrace it. It's something I struggle with because I like to think that I do things great, I do it this way, this is my way. And when someone says that's not right, you do it my way, maybe you're not as good as you think you are, that hurts. That hurts a lot. Especially me, because I put so much work into my stuff. When someone says, hey, this isn't good enough, it hurts bad. But you have to recognize that pain is there for a reason, because that's you realizing maybe they are right. So as much as it hurts, you got to lean into it. You got to accept it from your friends, your family, your whatever. Accept the criticism. Think about it. Is it true? And if it is, make some changes to fix it. Finally, if you have a growth mindset, in terms of the success of others, you're not getting jealous and you're not feeling threatened. You're finding lessons and inspiration in the success of others. If one man did something, you can do it. See, that's the most powerful thing I think from all of this, because when you realize all of the famous actors and the famous sports players and the famous artists and the famous cooks and the chefs and whatever, these people were just like you and me. They weren't just, think about this, literally think about this. This is what always gets me going through things. Think about something like being a professional video game player, all right? You're a professional League of Legends or a Fortnite player. You make millions of dollars, you're a ninja, all right? He makes so much money, he's one of the best in the world. Now let's think about this for a second. Is it really a natural ability that Ninja has? Was he just born with an ability to play video games? Is there anywhere in the evolutionary history of human beings where there would be a benefit for a trait to be good at a video game? Video games have not even existed for the last 20 years. So if you believe that there is a natural ability inside of someone to play a video game, that means that for the last 50 million years, humans have for some reason had this trait that passed down. That's just not there. Maybe he has better reaction by a little bit. Maybe there's some small things, but there is nowhere in human evolution that even remotely makes sense to have a natural ability. It's some of the things we do in modern life, because these things didn't even exist 50 years ago, and humans have been on this planet for millions of years. It just doesn't make sense. So the only possible explanation for people's skill and success in these things is that they practice and practice and practice, because humans are the ultimate adaptation machine. When we're faced with a challenge, we can do it. Humans live in the coldest places in the world. We also have been to the hottest places. We literally live every single place in the entire planet. There's no other creature that can do that. We've been to the lowest and the highest points that we can ever visit. Like, we can do pretty much anything on the planet. No other animal in history can do what we can do, because we can adapt and we can learn and we can overcome. And that is the secret ability that these people have. They don't have a secret ability to play Fortnite. They don't have a secret ability to shoot a basketball, because there's no evolutionary benefit in the history of mankind where that would be somewhat useful and be passed down at all. But we can adapt, and you can see that through all the places we live and all the challenges we've overcome. Humans have that ability. And so when you recognize that you can overcome and you can adapt to literally anything that you are faced with, that is where you start to grow. That is where you enter the growth mindset, and that is where you realize that we have been to the bottom of the trench, whatever that thing's called, Mariana Trench or something. We've been into outer space and on the moon. We've done these things that literally seem impossible, but they're possible with a growth mindset. So to me, this is the most valuable lesson I've learned through all my reading. And through this podcast, I'm trying to coach you guys and help you reach your goals, your success, whatever it is that you want to be happy. This is core. This is key. So for the next few weeks, whenever you face a challenge, instead of saying that's too hard, I can't do it, go in with the mindset that it is possible. And what's even crazier, I've known about this for a couple years now. I read a book about it a while ago. My work, Fortune 50 company, had a presentation about this, which is kind of why I'm talking about it now, because it reminded me of how powerful this was to really learn about originally. So you're going to hear about this a lot, not just from me, but you're going to hear about it everywhere, because this is the topic right now, because people are realizing that you can be anything that you want to be. Guys, thank you so much for listening today. As always, check out my main channel if you haven't at Loverfella. Subscribe to this wherever you get your podcasts. You're amazing. Spread the love. I'll see you all tomorrow. Peace.